0302216541 will be our phone lines. Hopefully, prayerfully, we are able to activate the phone lines. And then 05511111997 is our WhatsApp line. You can actually start sending in your thoughts. What bias do you face in your home as a woman, as a wife, as a daughter, as an auntie? Even if you're a grandma, we want to be able to know in the home. Because look, we believe that the unit of society is the home. It starts from the home. You see that person out there, I don't want to call the person a man or a woman, but that person out there who eventually puts impediments in the way of women was born and brought up in a home. So all the thoughts, the ideologies, and all of those start from the home. How was this person brought up? What were they made to believe? Reasons they have grown and carried it on. Those are the conversations we are going to be having this morning. Amasha Partners Limited and Eye Care, Kel Kids toothpaste for white teeth and fresh breath all day long. This is another quality product from Samara Company Limited and Kel Kids toothpaste. Happy smile. They are sponsors on Home Affairs. Where did everybody else go? Please, all of you should come back. We need all of you to be able to grow the conversations. I think in December we had about 9 sponsors. I want to believe you're doing the paperwork, so please hurry up and come on board. But for now, Amasha Partners Limited and Eye Care, Kel Kids toothpaste. Thank you for staying on and continue to be here, and thank you for banking on us. And just by way of encouraging you this morning, I'd like you to know that you may be indispensable to some people, but don't be indispensable to your own self. Be very, 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 very important to yourself. And don't let anybody make you feel less. You're very important, and tell yourself that if I am not in it, it won't be complete. If you're not in it, it won't be complete, and that means you continuing to place a lot of value on yourself. So let other people make you indispensable, but you don't be indispensable to yourself. Great, my guests are seated. Mrs. Theresa Ayewade. Good morning.
Good morning.
How is it that I have you on this show just once a year? That is how I want to start my conversation with you, but I want to start attacking you. How is it that I have you just once a year?
I'm always at your disposal, Adam.
Okay, great.
Bible says, ask and you shall receive.
Amen. And I am so very happy. I will introduce the rest of my guests in a little bit, but when I walked in here and I saw everybody, I was so happy to go like, wow. It's not even 6 yet and everybody is already here. So thank you all very much for making it. Now, I also have Anna Naberi. Is that the name?
Yes.
Oh wow, I'm a sharp girl like that. She's manager. She leads by Plan International Ghana. She is my guest here on the morning. Please, I hope you're also not going to be coming here once a year, right? We'll call you.
Like you said, ask and it shall be given.
Yay! And to be blessed. And Kwena Comfortuma. Good morning.
Good morning.
You are welcome.
Thank you.
Great. And she is a health and fitness coach. Ooh, okay. I am on that journey, so I know that we are going to get a lot of insight. But you're welcome to Home Affairs this morning. I hope everybody is relaxed.
Yes.
Great. That's
Yeah.
this is her home. So now, International Women's Day is 8th March, Tuesday. And I know that we have a very big event coming up. That's the 4th International Women's Summit, and Theresa Ayewade is the convener. On the back of that, we're having this conversation to be able to bless everybody, and especially so for those who won't be able to be present on the day, but they also have the opportunity to follow us on Joy 99.7 FM from 10 to 12. The program is going to be live on air. But we've been having the conversations. On Wednesday, there was one on Strong and Sassy. It was very interesting to look at how, women across generations. So you had a woman who was over 70, she was on, and you had another one who was in her late 20s, and everybody was sharing their experiences and the biases they have faced, from when they were growing up and even where you are now. I'm sure even at 70, you still face some biases as a woman. But just because you are a woman, you will be stereotyped in a way. But here on Home Affairs, we want to talk about how this plays out in our homes, because that's where it all begins. So I was thinking, has our culture and tradition not helped this to fester? In the sense that two people meet and say that we love each other, and so we want to live the rest of our lives together and live together, become a team, and be able to build something for ourselves. And we have gone on that journey, we have agreed to be together, and then all of a sudden, boom, there is a whole list, a tall list, that one of the two will have to be able to provide, come hell or high water, before you are able to start off that journey. And sometimes it's interesting that the woman for whom these men are speaking and want to have their hand in marriage, sometimes the women are even earning more than the men. But it is still expected of this man to go look for a suitcase, and the woman may have 10,000 of them already, but you still have to go buy one, buy God knows how many pieces of cloth, shoes, you have to buy underwears, you have to buy, sometimes some of the things are very ridiculous, but you will have to get all of these and then present them before the woman is given to you. Doesn't that change the playing field already? Theresa.
This is deep. This is very deep, because these are deeply rooted traditions that we've all grown up with, and as a young person growing up, we all look, as women, we all look forward to the days when we're going to get married, because of all the fanfare that surrounds the whole experience, and the idea of a knocking and the engagement, so where a man is coming to ask for your hand in marriage, was painted to make us feel very special and treasured. As the man is come to ask for your hand in marriage, come to present all these things to your family, and was seen as a rite of passage that every woman was looking forward to going through. And so we went through it and enjoyed it for whatever it was worth. Like you said, I mean, along the line, a lot of compromises have been made between what should be presented, and for nowadays, even the women join the men to present the items,
The items.
because some of the items are ridiculous. I mean, I already have suitcases. Why do you have to bring me suitcases? I already have cloth. Why do you have to bring me cloth? But because it's steeped in tradition, you have to present it. So these are all questions, but we accepted it without questioning all of that. But I know that recently a lot of families are turning down the bride price, trying to say that my daughters are not for sale and things like that. So some of those monetary presentations have been watered down greatly to make it less material, less realistic, if I should say. But that whole process of coming to ask for your hand in marriage already seems like we are being, packaged off and given to somebody, and we haven't really thought about it and how it affected, even how it's creating biases against us as women. We just went with the flow, but I can assure you that this Gen Z, they'll start questioning all these things. I can assure you that, because I'm going through some in my house already. I can assure you, because of the awareness and the conversations we are having now, the younger generations are going to start questioning the relevance of all these things. But we just went through with it as rites of passage, as tradition and culture. And like you said, right from the beginning, they began to, create certain thoughts and impressions and biases psychologically in us, mentally. We didn't even realize it. But years and years of going through this tradition of heralding the man or putting the man on a pedestal and making the woman a lesser support, or a support to the man, so to speak, are some of the things that have perpetuated these biases in women right from the home through our cultures and traditions.
Because if we're talking about tradition, some elders, I may not be getting it, all right, have said that back then they weren't asking for all these things, few dowries, and it's just to show that the families have come together and have agreed for the two of you to start a life together. And so that didn't seem as though you were being sold off. But I mean, I think somehow we started changing it, because I remember when the family presented my list. And I mean, usually it's not your.
The family
Sometimes
that
it's not your
gives them
father,
the
the
list.
family.
Yeah.
My father looked at it and said, "But I'm not selling you." So he started
Crossing out things.
out. I remember it wasn't much, but he still said no. Then he said, "All I want is just add 20 CDs." I said, but why? He said, "You're not for sale. It's just a token. And if tradition says that there has to be some exchange of gifts, it's enough, you know." So the man won't say that, "Do you know how much I paid to bring you home?" You know. So back then, if it is just culture and tradition and a representation, or putting something in place for the families to know that we have agreed to come together, then I think as we developed, we changed a lot of things. I hear some parents are even asking for cars these days. And if I give you a car to make your daughter my wife, then you should know that you've lost control totally. Yeah. But let me come to you,
Anna.
And Anna.
Yes.
Okay. Why is it that the various thickens snack better? Okay. So I mean, in the same vein, then we move to the stage where eventually we agree that we want to get married. These things have been presented. Then we go to the next phase. And now it's a big deal, you know, and that's how the relationship begins. Some men insist that you will have to change your name by all means and take on mine. And for women who are vocal, they end up feeling like, I don't want to lose my identity. I am your wife. I love you. We're here together. We're going to build a family together. Must I necessarily take on your name so I feel like I am yours? What do you think about that?
It's a big issue.
It's a deep conversations, huh?
I don't know when that advocacy started. That if you marry, you should change your name to that of your husband. Sometimes you live your life, no man contributes to your growing up, your education. You use your father's name, the family supported you. You become a career woman. You get married to a man, all of a sudden they say you should change the name that is behind all the successes. For me, I really don't see why we should do that. And if you maintain your name, your father's name, doesn't also mean that you do not have anything to do with your husband, or you are not supposed to play the role as a wife. Nothing changes. Nothing changes. So for me, I still use my father's name, and my husband doesn't see anything wrong with it. And those men that are advocating and they think that that is the only way a woman can be submissive, I think they are getting it wrong. It's just a name, and it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't change anything. The woman can even agree to change to your name, but can you change everything about the woman? If she decides that she's not going to respect you, she's not going to be submissive, she's not going to do the things that she
ought to do as a woman.
Woman, you can't do anything. So it's just about understanding who you are, and your partner also understanding himself, and then you find that point that you are all relevant, and you are all important. You are together to support one another. You are not together to see who is superior and who is inferior. But
there are a lot of thoughts around this, right? Yeah. As I go somewhere and they call you Mrs. Night Tea, and I go like, Abba, I don't like it. And then they go like, why not? I said, my name is Edem, first of all. You know, when sometimes people call you, go like, oh, hello, may I know your name, please? My name is Mrs. Boateng. Like, okay, what's your name, you know? And the person is just, my name is Mrs. Boateng. And you go like, okay. Sometimes you want to find out. Yes, of course, you're married, you're Mrs. I don't even, now I'm asking and I'm thinking, okay, how did I come like that? Did my husband and I have a conversation around me changing my name, or just because I mean, growing up, everybody you knew who got married had their names changed, and so you thought it was normal and you also did it, in as much as it's not creating any problems. And now I'm just wondering, okay, where did it come from? So if tomorrow my children, the girls, get married and they want to maintain their names, is there going to be an issue? Will it, and I don't have answers for them. I don't even know why it is like that. But probably there is a reason behind it. But do women feel inadequate when you are married and you don't take on the name? Some people have also argued that it makes the union stronger. It means that I have agreed to surrender everything to you, be your wife, be submissive to you, ready for you to become my head. I mean, people have argued that it has a lot of meanings, you know, other than just taking on a name. Krena, what do you think about that?
Wow. You know, it's interesting. I'm from America, so I don't have
That makes it interesting.
yeah. So, and my husband is Ghanaian, so I didn't have that the traditional route that you were talking about earlier, where you had to bring everything. I said, you owe me, you know, where my package I was supposed to get. But I think that the key as we're moving forward, before I got married, it was no exchange. I listened to both of the statements.
So how did you get married? How does it happen?
He proposed to me, and then after that we planned the wedding and we moved on. And that's it. But the thing is, for me, coming from the outside and looking in, I admire that. It's not being sold, but I think it's important to raise the awareness for the girls, to make them understand that you're not being sold. This is a rich cultural tradition, and it's meaningful to the culture of the family. Yeah. And helping to let them understand the value in it. And it's not about being sold, but just holding on to that tradition, because I really admire it. And I don't look at it as being sold. And I think it's just awareness and raising education on that. And then for the last name, the pastor that married my husband and I, he actually wanted me to keep my last name. And my husband's last name is hyphenated. So I said, that's going to be too long. Kiana, Howell, Camphor, Dumas. It's too long. But I've always admired the role of a wife. I looked at being a wife as being a great honor, and I just adore that. My grandmother was a great example of a wife. I saw her, how she took care of everyone in the home. Anything that happened, we always call mama. I mean, it's amazing how she took care of grandkids, great-grandkids, and I admire that. She always made sure there was food there. So for me, my view was admiration, and I'm looking forward to being a wife. I was calling home, Mama, how do I make this? I want to be ready for when he comes find me. I'm going to be ready for that man when he comes. So I think it's just about teaching and awareness and letting people understand, you know, how it can be perceived, but letting them know what is their value. Because I was this is my name. And because I see when we come together with the same name, we're one. It's two come together to become one. And that unity, now we're going to 20 years of marriage. And I believe that has really helped us. One bank account, one last name. It just helps to make things so much easier. And yes, I go through, well, who am I? What am I doing?
Sometimes you ask yourself.
Yes, it comes. But then I always say I am still, the child that God created me to be. I still have meaning and purpose in life. And yeah.
Great. And I mean, that's what I was trying to say, that we do, the conversations are that when you go through these processes, we end up solidifying the relationship we have, because definitely one person must lead and the other person not necessarily follow, but there has to be a head and a lead in the home. When we are we are having conversations and we have arguments ongoing, or we are not agreeing, for as long as I see this person as the lead or as the head, eventually, if we're not agreeing, we have to make a decision. And if the final decision must be made, because we have agreed that you are the lead, okay, lead and let's go. And those are the things that make it beautiful. But I think these issues about stereotypes, about biases, about, questioning who we are as women and all that have come up also because the situation is not always ideal. You understand? There have been occasions where men have asked their wives, do you know how much I paid as dowry? You can't work because I say so. You can't do this because I have done this for you. You live under my roof, and if you don't obey me, I will throw you out. Now, this person forgets at the time when all of these things are happening, you forget that we willingly agreed to have a union. So where is this is mine, this is mine, this is mine coming from? And these are the things that make the home unstable. And then we begin to have all these biases and question these arguments. So across the table, before I move to the next one, which is very important to me about the home, 2 more things I want us to talk about before we leave here today. Now, managing a home, man, woman, how do we manage our homes such that one person doesn't feel like all I do is give. But we are all supposed to be doing it together. And when it comes to raising our children, even till date, I'm sure that we tell our children, you are the boy, so you are the one who will be feeding the pets in the house. You are the girl, so you are the one who will be doing this one in the house. Why do we even do that? And not to raise them together, for all of them to acquire these life skills together, not dividing it. But I just want to take our final thoughts on the issues about, the dowries and change of name, because it is a very, like I said, some homes are unstable because of some of these things. So your final thoughts, what would we want people to take out of that conversation, especially so to the men and to us the women, so that this doesn't become a big point of bias in our homes? Maybe I should start with you, Anna. What would you want people to take out of this?
Yeah, so if you look at the change of name, it's creating a lot of bias. But I will say that it shouldn't be a must do something. Some women pride in their mistakes too much. It makes them...
Well, if it makes them happy, why not?
No, it makes them even lose their value. If you look at the way they look at it, they make other women so uncomfortable. Well, like you said that you meet somebody, the person knows that you are of age, you are supposed to marry, and you are not married. And the introduction is, I am Mrs. This. How do you feel? You see, so they make people feel that if you are not called Mrs., you are not a woman, or you are incomplete. You are lacking something. But I just want to tell women out there, if you are not Mrs., doesn't make you incomplete. You are a complete human being. What you need to do is to make sure that you build yourself up. You are able to stand on your own. Before you even think of taking up somebody's name as your first name or something. So it is not about being a Mrs., but it's about you yourself. So I wouldn't say don't accept or accept. It should be an individual decision. If you think that is what will make you a happy wife, why not? If you think that will make your husband happy or love you, go ahead. But if you think that it doesn't really mean anything, I don't see why you should force and change because others are doing it. Then the issue of the diary that you talk about, the scenario you gave is even so simple. If you go to some colleges, people struggle to raise. They have to even exchange their sisters so that they'll be able to. So you allow your sister to marry so that you can get the required
oh my God
kettle or the number of cows that you need to also marry your wife. And
That's revealing.
you will be surprised to hear that in this 21st century, we still have in some cultures where they do exchange marriages. You have a sister. If your sister is not even up to the age of marrying, and you have to marry, you have to do everything possible to let that your sister get marry from where you have spotted a lady, so that you can also go in for the lady from that family. When we talk about these things, people will say, how? Where is it happening? I don't want to sit here and start mentioning communities. We work in communities, and some of these things are still happening.
Wow.
What we call exchange marriages. People exchange their sisters because they are not able to get the dowry, the required amount or items that are needed for them to get married.
And they can't exchange their brothers.
You can't exchange your
It has to be the girl. It has to be the woman.
So it's affecting the education of some of the girls. We have girls that are asked to drop out of school so that their brothers can get wives to marry.
Wow.
And it's there.
Oh, so when the brothers want to get married, they not exchange their sisters.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you see how this
that's
thing...
part of the bias and
Exactly.
and the misogyny against women.
Exactly.
So you see that some of these cultural traditions, they start out as having certain meaning, but then they now start getting abused and exaggerated and twisted to become problems, which is what they were not initially intended to be.
Exactly.
So those are some of the things we think about, and then based on the things you're discussing now, the names, the name changes and all of that. I think that again I say that our generation or the generation before us were not the questioning generation. We were the accepting generation. We were the ones that whatever was the norm, we just accepted and we went with the flow. So we didn't question a lot of things. It's a few people along the line questioned, but I think that for me, I mean, I didn't question it. I didn't question it as to why I should change or why I should not change, because that's what was happening. Everybody was, you got married and you changed your name, and that was it. I mean, and it got, for mine, it was so bad that I had to even, on my Facebook, I had to add my surname for people to know who I am. I had to say, Teresa Enieje Ayowade, just so that, I mean, people would know who I was, because sometimes when you change your name, like the people are not able to, connect who is this person, So, and then also, I mean, I married a Nigerian, and my name was Ghanaian Teresa, so I was like, Teresa Enieje Ayowade. That's, my name is already hyphenated, and to add his as well, so I just put mine aside and went along with his. But I remember when I got married while I was before I went back to university to finish my degree, because I went to university as a mature student. So when I got married, but when I was in school doing my degree and everything, I made sure I maintained my maiden name, and so my degree came out in my maiden name.
So you look at it.
Then I was like, nah, this is for me. Yes. So I kept my maiden name throughout my university, and then I had it on my certificate, even though I was married at the time. But it just shows you, I mean, all this bit about. But we didn't really put much thought to it. But with all these conversations that we are having, I believe that a lot of people are not. I mean, it's not to say that it's a good or bad thing, but it's about how you feel. Really, as you said, it's a personal choice.
I wanted to ask you if you had conversations around this. Did it come up ever? Like, okay, you got married, you changed your name to Ayode, and then you had to go to school. You thought of, okay, I should have the Anieje in there, and then all that. Did you have to talk about it, or you were just doing it?
When we got married, I mean, my husband didn't mind. He didn't mind if I kept my maiden name.
Oh, no.
Yeah, he didn't mind at all. So it was my personal decision to change it. It was my personal decision to also make sure that my education certificates had my maiden name.
And there were no issues.
No issues at all. No issues at all.
So I want to believe that where there is understanding and there are no issues and it really isn't a big deal, it's not a problem. But if you find yourself with a partner who would like, I mean, or maybe if they asked you nicely, I mean, out of love, you should be able to do it. Or if it is an issue, okay, I want to maintain my name. He wants you to carry on his name, you probably want to ask why. And if you have conversations around it, and you will have to find a middle ground and agree somehow. Shouldn't be, it's a problem, but I don't think it should be a problem if we're agreeing to have conversations around it, you know. You weren't forced to change your name, right?
No, I wasn't. Like I said, my pastor wanted me to keep my name, and it would just be a long last name. But I was just really trying to just have a family and have one name. So I was okay, but I do get to like, wait, everything is in the family, but it's okay because I'm looking at the bigger picture in terms of the family. But it does have to be, you know, just individual case by case, and seek wisdom and stay aware.
And I think also regarding the cultural traditions, regarding the engagements and all of those things, I think, I mean, there's going to be a time coming when a lot of these things will be questioned. I mean, you're going to have this very inquiring generation are going to actually take a list and start questioning, why do we have to do this? Why do we have to do this? It's going to get to that point. I see it coming. So I think that along the line, some of these things I think it will get shaped for the better. We would respect to tradition and try to understand what was the thinking behind these cultures that we are all perpetuating, but making sure that the integrity of what was meant to achieve is achieved without the negative connotations that it presents and the kind of biases it continues to perpetuate. So I think there will be some adjustments along the line.
Great. We're having a very interesting conversation, and we need to take a short break. We will be right back. It's interesting.
Very interesting.
Ophebia, did you brush your teeth before eating?
No, mommy. Anytime I use daddy's toothpaste, I get bruises in my mouth, and sometimes I feel like vomiting.
That's not an excuse. As a child, you need to brush your teeth before you take your breakfast to avoid tartar and cavity, okay? And you, why are you laughing at your sister? Have you brushed your teeth?
Yes, Mom. I used the Kel Kids toothpaste you brought yesterday to brush my teeth.
Well done, darling. Kel Kids toothpaste is made for kids like you from 2 years to 6 years.
It was so sweet like strawberry. I even wanted to eat it, Mom.
No, you can't eat it. It's toothpaste, not toffee, okay? It's always advisable to give your kids Kel Kids toothpaste to brush their teeth. Kel Kids toothpaste strengthens teeth and prevents decay and cavities. As a mother, I always make sure my kids use Kel Kids toothpaste. Kel Kids toothpaste with strawberry flavor makes brushing exciting for our kids.
Kel, happy smart.
This advert is FDA approved.
Charlie, you know say DSTV they do something give you anytime you upgrade your DSTV package. From DSTV family to compact, DSTV go carry you go compact plus straight. It means say more series, more movies, more fun. Wow! Bro, so upgrading from compact to compact plus they mean say you go get a step up straight to premium. That be front row seat for your favorite football teams live. Bro, make you sign me up. Make you step up to the next level on us. Upgrade your current DSTV package and we go step you up to the next highest package at no extra cost. DSTV, it's your moment.
If you're just joining us, this is Home Affairs. We're live on Joy Prime Television. We are also live here on Joy 99.7 FM. We have been talking about break the bias, how it plays out in our homes, and we've had conversations around even how it begins. We're trying to find out, the whole tradition and the whole act of bring this before you take my daughter to your home, isn't it the beginning of the bias? Because then I had to pay to make you my wife. And then we also talked about, from that point, another big issue that brings about this bias is the change of name. I am an individual. You are an individual. You were given birth to in a family, me too, the same. We've grown, we're married. And then now I have to lose my identity and take on your name. And sometimes, depending on how you look at it, it becomes a big issue. Homes are unstable sometimes just because. Can you imagine that my wife doesn't want to bear my name? Are you ashamed of my name? Are you not submissive enough to be my wife and take my name? Sometimes it's just a big issue. And we've had conversations around the table and we're saying that, look, out of love, you two can discuss it and go on with it. If the other person is not comfortable with it, you still should have a conversation and have a middle ground. And when it comes to tradition, there's not so much we can do about it. But again, once you know that you want to have a very beautiful home, why make it an issue? It's tradition. I'm not sure it is the girl or the woman who is asking you to bring all these things. So you don't have to use those against her. If you sent these things to the family, I love you, and the family is demanding this. It's tradition. It shouldn't account for how you treat your wife, because she as an individual isn't the one who came making all demands on you. And this individual doesn't even have the power alone to change that tradition. So we need to begin to look at it that way and not use, cultural practices to create all these biases against wives in the home. Before we move on, come Tuesday, I told you about it, 8th of March, we will have the 4th National Women's Summit at the Grand Arena International Conference Center from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. in celebration of International Women's Day. 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. because there's going to be so many activities ongoing that day. Come join the global conversation on #BreakTheBias by an eclectic mix of females across generations and professions who will discuss their personal experiences with bias, how they broke them, and most importantly, how together as society we can make a conscious effort to break the bias against women. Keynote speaker is Marufatu Abiola Bewa, Regional CEO, West Africa UBA Group, and our panelists include Dr. Mabel Banson, first female neurosurgeon in Ghana, Theresa Yamson, CEO, Phytoreka Gihok Pharmaceuticals Limited, Edem Atipo, first female air marshal at Kotoka International Airport, Anna Naberi, she is here, manager, she leads projects by Plan International. We have students from Accra Girls Senior High School, and yours truly, Edem Naite. I will be your moderator and MC. I look forward to that conversation. My director just said something into my ears. And indeed, you deserve a life of goodness if you're a woman. In fact, everybody deserves a life of goodness, but we are focusing on women. The panel to have that conversation also include my dear sister here, Koina Kamfaduma. She's a health and wellness coach, a Rabba Ikua Eduse, marketing manager, Wilma Africa, Akosia Amponsa Bafo Asiedu Jones. Oh, wow. Let me mention that again. I love it. Akosia Amponsa Bafo Asiedu Jones. She's an entrepreneur.
Oh, the lady
and everyone combined together, just as we're saying. Winnie Opariutu is a dietitian, and that will be moderated by my girl Na Ashoko. To attend in person at the Grand Arena, you will have to, register. I share contacts with you, and do know that limited seats are available. The 4th National Women's Summit will be live, I told you earlier, on Joy FM between 10 and 12 on the 8th of March. It will also be live on Facebook at Frital Ghana and on YouTube at Chatterhouse Live. We're sponsored by Frital and supported by She Leads by Plan International and produced by Chatterhouse in collaboration with my own Joy FM. Break the Bias 2022. We look forward to this conversation. And how about making this Independence holiday a memorable one for the entire family? 28th, The Crossroads, Ghana's first animation film, is showing again at the Silverbird Theatres this Saturday, the 5th of March, at 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. at Accra Mall and Wager Mall. Tickets cost only 50 cedis and available at Silverbird Cinemas Accra Mall, Bachona Total, Airport Shell, Maxmart, or visit www.studiosparables.com for online ticket purchase. Get tickets for your family to see a story of Ghana's history told by our own Parables Animation Studio and Animation Africa. Visit parablestudios.com or call 024395 for further information. Now let's talk about how we are raising our children in our homes. And this one I want to make it very personal to us. Ahead of that, please, if we can also share some of the messages that people are sharing with us, it would be great to see what people are saying about this subject. But we want to make this quite personal. Teresa, you have both, right? Boy, girl.
Oh, boy and a girl.
Okay, great. So how is it coming up? How are you able to break the bias when it comes to raising them?
As a matter of fact, I think I've been involved in women's events and women's activities for a while now, and I honestly thought I was a feminist and I was about women's empowerment and all of that. I think it was more about probably in thought than in action because I was caught up in I was confronted about some biases I had at home by my daughter, which I had not actually even thought about.
Wow.
For example, Saturday morning I wake up and, let's go to the kitchen, let's get breakfast going. And she used to go with me for a while. Then she realized that I was always calling her and not her brother. So she began to question that, Mommy, why are you always calling me and not my brother? Why is he sleeping and I'm here with you? And why is Daddy sleeping and it's only you and I in the kitchen?
Yeah.
So initially I was taken aback and was like, okay, women take care of the home and the whatever. And she goes, no, Mommy. See, this is what we call female misogyny. And I was like, okay, yes, you're just promoting male privilege. And I'm like, okay. So I had to do a double take, think about it, and I go, wow, it's true. What she's saying is true. So then I began to call my son to come out as well. So I wake the two of them up. Come on, the two of you, let's go to the kitchen. Let's get something going. Daddy joins us in the kitchen. So we are all preparing breakfast, preparing what we are going to eat. And my son would drag his feet and why should I? So I had to now change the whole strategy. I said to them, you know what? Cooking is a life skill. It's not about whether you are a female or you are a male. You have to learn how to cook because in life you find yourself on your own one day and you need to cook. So we are all going to cook together. At least you must learn how to fry an egg, boil rice, do this, do that. So it's a life skill. We're all learning it. So then my daughter was okay, calm. Okay, so now it's a life skill we are learning. So now she felt she wanted to see it as I'm gaining more life skills than him if I show up more in the kitchen than he does. So it's more like his bad, and my gain. So that's how I had to flip it around for her to see the reason why she had to do it. And sometimes when I call her and I try to call the boy and he's dragging his feet and he's not coming, and I just say to her, you're my girl, you're my trooper, let's go. This guy's delaying us, So then I present it that way and she goes, okay, Mommy, I'm only coming because, but not because I'm a female. So I said, no, not because you're a female. It's just because, that's the women, let's just do our own thing, So that's how I had to present it to her. And then there was once when they were arguing about who should clean the dishes after eating. And my son dared to say, you go and clean it because you're a woman. Before I could even open my mouth to say anything, the girl just came out in arms. Was like, what do you mean by that? Aren't we all equal? Didn't we all eat the food? Why should I be the one to clean it because I'm a woman? And I'm like, she was so upset. So I just sat down and watched her fight her own battle. And they came to a compromise that I will clean it today, you will clean it tomorrow. I will clean it today, you will clean it tomorrow. So I just stayed on the side and watched them battle it out. And I was like, okay. So I was learning a lot by watching them. Because
you weren't brought up that way.
I wasn't brought up that way. I was taught that girls do this.
Exactly.
And the girls wake up, they sweep, they clean, the boys wash the cars. and then they do other stuff around the house. You know, the roles were clearly defined. So I try to bring my children up that way as well, feeling that I'm training my children. I mean, I'm doing my motherly duties, but I was doing it all wrong. So I learned through them how to now begin to change my approach and how to break those biases that I went to. Now, before I ask them to do anything, I have to think about it, and I think about how to present it in a way that is fair to both of them, and not because she's a female and he's a male.
You process the thoughts, and then you process the presentation.
I have to, and I'm learning. And so what I got out of the whole exercise was that we have to be intentional about breaking biases, and we must ask questions about why we are doing things the way we are doing them, but not because that's the way we met it, that's the way we were told, and so we are going with the flow. I think that time, that era needs to be put aside. We now need to begin to question a lot of the things that we've been doing subconsciously, just because we've been socialized that way. You know, like I said, this generation coming after us, they are a questioning generation.
They question everything.
So they'll question everything.
They question everything.
Everything.
And they're so confident.
Yeah, and that's good, because that is a quicker way to break the biases than just going with the flow.
Yeah.
So I've learned a lot. And
Great.
so for me, I'm more intentional now
I
about
love that.
breaking the biases.
Anna, how old are your children? These are teenagers, right?
Mine are 15 and 19.
Okay, great.
Yeah, my first child is 24.
Oh, wow. Senior, salute.
Senior. The second is 17, and the last is 10. The gap is so wide.
It's fine. And you have a mix of them, right?
Yes, I have two. The girls are the seniors, and the boy happens to be the last born.
Okay.
So,
I mean, so briefly tell us how, specifically, the upbringing you give them, and if there were any biases you noticed, and how you have tried, especially so because of what you do.
Yeah. So, the biases are inbuilt in us.
So sometimes you wonder what we are shouting and crying about.
You play them out without knowing.
True.
I'm from a family of 5, 4 girls, 1 boy. So much priority, attention was given to that boy. So much care, so much love. They made us to feel that he was the best human being in that family. He was not made to do anything. So I was following him directly. So one should assume that he, being the senior, should be called upon to do most of the work. But it was never done. I get up, they wake us up to work, then he sleeps throughout and he gets up. But what I realized is that behavior, that training did not help him. That training did not help him. We grew up, and it came to a point that they were even referring to some of us as the male or the boys, working as boys or behaving like boys, and he was rather very weak and very tender. You see, so learning from this, when I had my children, I was so conscious about it, because that training did not help my brother. It made him not to achieve what everybody was expecting him to achieve. He had all the attention. I remember those days when we are on holidays, I will work with my mother. I will support my mother to do the trading. She gets the money. But when we are about to go to school, we are attending the same secondary school. She will call the 2 of us, bring out her money box, count the money, and give it to the boy, and leave me alone. She will not give me anything. I have to depend on maybe what my father will be able to give me, or some things that I've been able to do around to make my own money. Wow. And she will tell you that, oh, girls' education, when you get educated, where will you send it to? and she will say, how many girls in this community have been able to make it, and you also want to complete secondary school. So these were the biases that I lived with and I grew up with. Coming to my own home, you play them out without knowing. I felt that my boy was too small. And looking at the age, the gap, the girls, they started doing everything at home before he was born. I remember just last week in a conversation, my husband went in to clean the boys' room. And then he came back to remind me that I used to say that when I give birth to a boy, I will concentrate and train my boy because of the experience I had with. But now look, have I started, or am I yet to start, or have I finished? So it was then I realized that it's easier said than done.
True.
You see, when we read books, when we listen to conversations, we are touched. Then we take decisions. We say, oh, for me, this is what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Because I took that decision that I was going to train my boy very well. He's 10 years. I don't know what I have done so far.
I like your honesty.
Yeah, I don't know what I've done so far. You have to struggle to get him out of bed, to bath, to paste. You put down the rules that you paste before you sleep. If you don't call, ask him, have you done it? He will not do. But the girls, it wasn't like that.
Oh.
For the two girls, I did not suffer. You just give them simple instructions.
And it's carried out.
They carry out. But the boy, I don't know. So, for me, I just want to say that what I plan to do, I haven't started.
I love you, honestly.
I haven't started. It's like, it is waste of time. They waste your time. And at the end, whatever you ask them to do, you have to repeat. So,
But
No.
you know the effects, right? The cycle.
I know.
It means that once he's unable to do it as a child, he will grow up not doing it, and then he will marry, and all the problems, all the work will be on the wife.
On the wife.
Yeah.
And like you say, you're being honest, and it's not your fault.
Yeah.
Me, I keep telling my son that I want you to grow up to be the man that every woman would love to be with. You know, because we put so much pressure on the girls. You have to grow up to become a good wife. You have to learn how to keep a home. What are we telling the boys also? Because think about it. You will train your daughter to become a good wife.
Exactly.
And the other person is not training their son to become a good husband. So you will have your good daughter who has become a good wife married to somebody's son who is not trained. What have you done? The work is zero. So we need to look out for all of them. Quena, what are you dealing with?
I like what Teresa said in terms of like the life skills and being intentional. So in our home with our children, I really focus on the life skills. I want to make sure that they're all involved. They all have their responsibilities. For my boys, I try to, remind them, be a gentleman, and they even see examples from my husband, open the door for me. And I know girls can do it on their own, but it's just still nice to be a gentleman. Open the door for the lady, and it's nice. Hold the door for the lady. Compliment the lady. So it's being intentional and continue to, teach them life skills and let them know that everyone does the dishes. If we all are there working, you clean up. You make a mess, you clean up. You want to cook, the kitchen is open. You want to make something, go make it. But it's just, I think for my role being a mom, sometimes I can probably smother them a bit and want to make everything very easy. So I have to back off and say, no, teach them, because they have to have those life skills.
How old are they?
One is 17, about to be 18, and then 15. One is turning 16 on Women's Day.
Oh, wow. Happy birthday to her.
Something small.
Anna, you want to say something?
Yes, I think the problem I'm having is the gap between the
age difference.
The age difference. But I'm realizing it because the girls are already grown and they are able to do everything. And he is just 10 years. So I think I look at him to be a boy, a small boy. And I have the people to do. Why should I
So why
worry?
bother him?
Why bother the small boy? But from the conversation I had with my husband last week, because the big girl is not at home now, the second one is also in the university, and it's like the three of us, and he still thinks that everything should be done by the
He's a
sister.
baby.
It's
yo.
a baby. It's a baby. So when you have the gap between the children, it also creates a lot of challenges.
Great.
So that's why we have to be more intentional.
Yeah.
We have some messages coming through.
Yeah.
Adam, it's not the men alone who insist on name changes. Some of us women are too something with the Mrs. Tag. It's so annoying at times.
Wow.
Good morning, Madam, and your guest. Great topic, and I just want to touch on if it's necessary to sign your husband's name. In my experience and observation, I noticed it's rather most women who are interested in signing their partner's names, especially if it happens to be he happens to be a popular and an influential family. No man forces women to do that. My woman is interested in signing my name, and I advise her to hyphenate it to keep her family name, which she even refused. There's so much misconceptions about this, and it's high time our women get to understand what their purpose in marriage is. And this is from Mike in Adenta. Wow, coming from a man. That's beautiful. Good morning, Adam, and thank God for your life. Oh, amen. Another great discussion. I think if the marriage will last till death do you part, it's okay bearing your husband's name. But in the situation where there will be a breakup and the woman goes back to remove the man's name, then it's something else. Ajima Joseph, but how are you able to know that from the beginning? Good discussion. I think a tradition has its values and everything that is done has a reason. My take on the engagement item is not bad. It was explained to me that these things are demanded. Your family wants the man to know they value you as a daughter. Some women are married and the man will not be concerned about buying those things for the woman. The change of name, I think, depends on the two, and there shouldn't be an issue. I was proud to change my name because I thought I wanted to own my man as my husband. My husband is the only son, so I said to him, I will expand you, and that was it. So we women need to have confidence in ourselves and know who we are. From this is from Sally. Like I said, if you do it in love, and I want to expand you, I want to take on your name, I want to expand your generation, the man will feel very happy. But what we are saying is, if it has to be insisted against somebody's will, then you should have a conversation around it. And again, we also talked about the dowries. Like I said, I was told that these are things that bond the families together. But I think, I mean, seriously, the people of old, our ancestors, did they put cars and laptops and iPhones in the dowry? So there's very simple things, you know.
Symbolic.
And for the man who lacks understanding, they end up seeing these things like, I mean, some of them had to go and borrow to be able to get these things done. And that's what makes them feel like I have bought you. Any item is bought according to its value. No woman can be bought, so we should not promote the language used by saying the men think they have bought you. Sometimes they say, no matter what was sent, no human being is to be bought. If a man thinks he's buying you, it's wrong mentally. We can use your discussion to redirect the way things have become, but not to encourage the expression of men what men think and say. It's wrong. No one can buy anyone. Beautiful thought. But we're saying that usually these are the things that come up, and it shouldn't be like that. And again, we said that it's not even the woman who is demanding these things of you. So when the family demands it and you put it together, you shouldn't then end up saying that, asking, do you know how much I paid on your head? Do you know how much I did this? For which reason you will have to become more like a slave to the person. It's not fair. So we will. I was just hoping that we had time to pick one or two phone calls. We should be leaving here in another 5-6 minutes. But I also just quickly want to find out from us across the table, when it comes to we as women, fortunately we're all wives here. Just maybe a minute each. Between us and our husbands, this is not like putting them down or everything, or generally women and men. What are some of the biases that we have to deal with, that we wish there was a bit of understanding around. Maybe we shouldn't limit it to ourselves, but generally when you look at marriage situations, what biases do women deal with between, just between the couple, that we wish there was some peace around, so that marriages are more beautiful. That's our theme for this year, though, building beautiful relationships and marriages. Kena, you want to start?
I don't know.
Some of the challenges in marriages that are as a result of because you are a woman and because I am a man. I don't know if you get me.
Yeah.
Teresa, you have any thoughts to share with us on that?
I feel that generally speaking, I know one of the things that comes up a lot is this issue of careers, marriage and careers. I know that I don't know whether it's changing now, but there have been issues in the past where people are on a certain career tangent, trajectory, and then when they get married, have kids, then all of a sudden it becomes a woman's responsibility to look after the children and the home and all of that. And so women end up having to curtail their careers. They take their careers kind of take a back seat, whilst the men, I always say this thing, that when you get married, there are two individuals pursuing your lives. You get married, the man's life continues. Not, in fact, if he came to work today and he got married tomorrow, he will come to work the following day. True. And his life just continues. But when a woman gets married and she's living her single life, she gets married, she comes home, immediately the responsibility of the household falls on her.
It's true.
So she has to start now keep worrying, what are we having for breakfast, lunch, dinner, how is the house school going to be kept, and all of that. She's added all of that immediately on top of her regular work schedule.
Yes.
And that's what we call in unpaid work.
And if you get pregnant,
then if you get pregnant, you add that on top. So all of a sudden, the woman's workload just increases.
Exactly.
Just because she got married and is now running a house.